Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Saturday, October 5th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Iowa game is today, the game against Michigan in 56 days. The Ohio State Buckeyes, obviously, as I just said, playing the Iowa Hawkeyes a little later on today. That will be a 3:30 kick on CBS. We will have all of our usual pregame and postgame coverage for you at youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle and, of course, at BuckeyeHuddle.com as well. Going to be a lot of stuff to talk about. Probably should be the sternest test the Buckeyes have faced so far in the 2024 college football season. And yes, we know who's on the schedule next week, but there's a tough test still ahead for the Buckeyes later on today. We're going to get a chance to talk a little bit about that game on today's show, let you hear a little bit from the Buckeyes, some of the interviews we got to do in the middle of this week. We're going to start with Ohio State head coach Ryan Day. We've been talking a lot on these shows with Ross Fulton and others about Chip Kelly's innovative mind and how he draws stuff up for on the offense and how everything just sort of works together well. When Chip Kelly is sort of at work, the mad scientist in the lab, is he just throwing stuff up on the board in meeting rooms and having you wonder how he came up with all this stuff?
Oh, yeah. But I think that's where some great ideas come from, is you throw things out there and some things, stick, and then other things, you just got to move on from. But, I think that's all healthy. And I think, but that's the part you got to really do a good job of, is figuring out what are the things that are good change-ups that can give us, something, and what are the things that, can get too watered down. And then before you know it, we're having a hard time executing things. So that's the constant conversation, and we're always trying to chase that on offense. But, we're not short on ideas and creativity, and that's a good thing.
We've talked a bunch on this show about the fact that Ryan Day has been talking to analytics folks and getting some advice on how to handle certain game situations, fourth down decisions, that kind of stuff. And he has definitely been more aggressive this year than he has in previous years. So is it that the team is really talented? Is it that they know that there's no margin for error and they've really got to kind of let it rip this year? What has it led him to being more aggressive?
No, every decision that's made is made based on winning the game. And so, we're going to do that. And that's it, and you do everything you can to make sure you're putting your guys in the best position to win the game based on all the different criteria that are in play. That's it, and, I don't know what else to say. There's certain times where, you go for it and you make it and it's a great decision. You go for it, it doesn't work out, it's a bad decision. That's kind of how it goes, and I see that happen across the board. But we do want to be aggressive and put our guys in a situation to go win games and make sure we're attacking and have that mindset.
Those fourth down decisions can be kind of make or break in a lot of cases. So with the potential payoff being so big in some instances, are those plays a real point of emphasis for the team?
And that's our guys. We work hard on those situations. And I think. It's our job to make sure, everyone in the program knows, in this certain situation, we got to be ready for this. Here's the play that we're going to run, here's what we can expect, and then we got to go execute it. But it ends up coming down to the guys on the field and then whether they execute it or not, and they're the ones that deserve all the credit.
The Buckeyes have not played against Iowa since 2022, but their quarterback, well, he's going to be a familiar face. That is Cade McNamara. The Buckeyes have not faced him as a Hawkeye, but did when he played at Michigan in 2021. So what is Ryan Day's impression of Iowa's Cade McNamara?
Yeah, a veteran quarterback who has played a lot of football. So, coming into an environment like this is something he's used to. And he's playing good football right now and made some really good throws this year. So, a veteran quarterback, can go a long way in this conference, and especially on the road.
The Iowa passing game is not exactly the thing that makes the Iowa offense go. That's much more a ground-based attack, and that ground-based attack starts with Kaleb Johnson. He is a Hamilton, Ohio native. Buckeyes didn't really recruit him coming out of high school, so this week he said, quote, "Even if they offered me, I wouldn't have gone. I want to beat them. That's my goal." Ryan Day was asked about what he remembered about Kaleb Johnson's recruitment and his comments this week.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't see any of those. But, I followed his career, and he's done great. He's developed into a really, really good football player. And, we always want to recruit Ohio players. And so we certainly, love to see Ohio players do well. We don't like it when we're playing against them for sure. But, that we can't sign everybody. And, we're proud of guys that leave the state and do well. So, he's done a great job as a running back, and he's playing really good football right now.
It's never easy to come in cold off the bench and be thrown into a big situation, but that's what happened to Devin Brown last week. He had to come in off the bench with the Buckeyes driving in the red zone right after Will Howard took a helmet to the sternum and had to leave the game. What did Devin Brown do? Well, he just threw a touchdown pass to Jeremiah Smith. Not too bad. So how does that touchdown pass and having to come in off the bench and being able to execute like that help Devin Brown move forward? Here's Ryan Day's answer.
No, I think it's a confidence thing, and we talk about confidence all the time. Like, what is real confidence? There's fake confidence, and then there's real confidence. Real confidence means you've actually done it. You look somebody in the eye, and I'm gonna go do it again. And so when you actually physically do it, I think it builds real confidence in you. And so it's hard to do that unless you've actually put it on the field. So for him to step up in that moment in a big spot, not only was it a 2-minute drill, but it was also in the red zone at the end of the half. 2 big situations to win right there, and so it's got to give him a little bit of juice this week. I feel like it has. I think he's had a good week of practice.
This is one where the question doesn't really match the answer, but the answer is really interesting. So I'm going to set it up with what the question that was asked, which was how would Ryan Day, the college quarterback, fit into the Chip Kelly 2024 offense? And the answer goes kind of a interesting direction.
Well, I think the thing that Chip would tell you is, when you say offense, his offense or, the offenses that he's been in or our offense or anybody's offense, what is somebody's offense? It's putting our players in the best position to be successful. What does that look like? This year it looks different than maybe it did when he was at UCLA, when he was at Oregon, when he was in Philly, every year it changes. Making the adjustments to put the guys in the right position based on who you have. And that's really what we're trying to do constantly. So, when you say the offense now, I wouldn't be playing at Ohio State, so I don't know how to answer that part of it.
This time last week, Ohio State head coach Ryan Day said that Tyleik Williams was available to play, and everyone said, okay, he's going to play. And it was, no, not necessarily. Available to play and going to play, not the same thing in the Ohio State football language. So he did not play last weekend. This week, Ryan Day said he expects Tyleik Williams to play. That means he expects Tyleik Williams to play, not just that he's available. So there you go. Now you've got your decoding Ryan Day segment out of the way for the day. So when Tyleik Williams is back this weekend, as expected, what kind of impact is it going to have on the field and also in terms of his leadership?
Tyleik's a great player, but like you said, he's a leader, and there's a lot of communication in there. One thing about Tyleik, he's got a very, very high football IQ, and so there were times where we did miss him, but it was good to see other guys step up too, and we need to continue to see that. But there's no question that he's a very, very strong player, makes a lot of plays, but also has leadership. He's been in the program for a while, and has strong relationships with everybody on the team, but in particular the guys up front, and helps in that part of it for sure. So good to have him back this week.
The Ohio State running back room has had a really good season so far. The Buckeyes have gotten plenty of production on the ground out of Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins and even James Peoples. These guys have made an impact in the passing game. They've even made an impact in terms of pass pro, blitz pickup, all the little stuff that running backs have to do. So with all the great play that they've got out of the running backs this year, is that the influence of new Ohio State running backs coach Carlos Lachlan?
He works hard at it. You can feel him. You can actually hear him before you see him. He's got a lot of energy, and he wants that room to reflect who he is as a person. He said that the minute he got in here when he first talked to the team. But it isn't just the running backs. He has an impact on a lot of guys on his team, and there's an energy, there's a toughness, there's a mindset that he likes to bring, and it's been contagious.
The Buckeyes have a real challenge coming up for their defense this week in Kaleb Johnson, the running back for Iowa, not only among the nation's leaders in terms of total rushing yards, but also in yards after contact. What kind of a challenge is that going to pose for the defense?
Yeah, he's running hard and like you said, breaking tackles, and so you gotta do a good job in practice of thudding people up and making sure that there's an extra emphasis on that, and then you got to run to the ball and get multiple people to the ball. But the guys who are right at the point of attack got to do a great job wrapping up and run their feet and be strong and be powerful and be really decisive and and getting them on the ground. But but we know the challenge. He's a very good back, and so we got to prepare at a high level. And I feel like the last 2 days, we've got everybody's attention, and so now we got to go put it on the field.
And finally, going to let you hear from a couple guys who are new to the team this year, actually both Alabama transfers, coincidentally enough. The first one is Seth McLaughlin, who has stepped in and been a really, really important part of that offensive line at the center position. He grew up in the South, did not watch a ton of Big Ten football growing up, so as he starts to go through all these Big Ten teams, he doesn't necessarily have the history that a lot of Midwestern kids might have in terms of understanding the programs and their identity. So has he had to sort of do his homework to catch up on these teams and what they're all about? You're going to hear that answer, and then a follow-up from Tim May.
Yeah, I really had, growing up in the SEC, I really had to do my research about the schools we play, because I don't really, coming from the SEC, I didn't really know what it means to play a team like Iowa. Yeah. I know they're always top-ranked in defense, and they're always great on special teams, and so I've done my research, and I've kind of understand what this game means. It's all about toughness, who's going to out-tough who, and who's going to run the ball, who's going to stop the run. That's all this game comes down to.
Do you like that? I mean, as a player?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
You know what I mean? It's kind of straight up, right in your face, right?
Yeah, it is. It's really just going to be a test to see how far along we've come. And if we can run the ball, then that means we're where we need to be. And if we can't run the ball, then that means we have a lot of stuff to work on.
And finally, going to let you hear a little bit from Kaleb Downs, the safety, also an Alabama transfer. Every time anyone talks about Kaleb Downs, they talk about his preparation and how he's a coach on the field. It's just, that's the free space on the bingo card anytime you ask anything about Kaleb Downs. So when you're hearing about his preparation, all the work he puts in, what is he actually looking for when he's watching film during the week?
Tips on first down and second down in terms of what they do on second down after their first down play. Splits that can help me see plays between the tackle and the next receiver there, or the tight end that's there. Quarterback progression in terms of where he goes pre-snap, what he looks at pre-snap, what signals he gives. Other things like that can go into it. Can help you play faster, have more confidence for the game.
Looks like it should be a great day for football out in Columbus. We will be there at Ohio Stadium before the game, have our usual pregame show. We will be there obviously covering the whole game, and then we'll be there after the game as well for what should be a really fun and interesting postgame show. Should be a more competitive game this week, I'm guessing. Should be a lot of stuff to talk about. And then as soon as that game ends, it is Oregon week, one of the most anticipated games on the schedule this year, one of the most anticipated trips that the Buckeyes have made in a number of years. So there's going to be a whole lot to talk about following this Iowa game. We hope you will join us at youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle for all of that coverage, as well as BuckeyeHuddle.com. Should be a great day. We hope to see you there. That will do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.